Hi, and welcome to Making Meals Matter. I'm Marilee, and here in my Making Meals Matter kitchen. I am so excited you're here with my special guest, Elizabeth Yarnell. We're doing a one-pot meal, and we're ultimately going to talk about ways to cook that include the ingredients in your kitchen and add that health benefit. You know, the ingredients you use do matter, and sometimes in a pinch you get to use what you have. So without further ado, hi Elizabeth.
Hey, Marilee, I'm so excited to be here in this really weird time on our planet. So, yay, absolutely. I'm so excited to talk about our topic today.
What do I have between my pantry, my fridge, my freezer, my spice drawer? And what we came up with was a special Hawaiian chicken, sweet Hawaiian chicken, one pot meal. Before we get going, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us about your one pot meals, well, how you came about making them and the premise of the cookbook.
Excellent. So, for me, my journey started one day in 1999 when I went to sleep as usual and I awoke the next morning blind in my right eye. And it turned out I had multiple sclerosis. So, that's my impetus to change my lifestyle, change my diet. At the time in 1999, no one thought that diet had any effect on your health. And it was actually my then fiance, who was a champion athlete, who suggested to me that maybe my diet might have something to do with why my body was shutting down. And since I had spent the whole decade of my 20s pretty much living off of Diet Coke, Crystal Light, and gummy bears, I had to think maybe he had a point. So that's when I started to become interested in health and healthy cooking and healthy eating. And all the research I was doing was pointing me toward whole foods were better than processed foods. So I thought, okay, well, I actually can see why this is valid, and I would like to have a whole foods based diet, but I didn't really know how to cook. And I started taking cooking classes and watching the Food Network, but everything I was trying to make from Whole Foods would take forever in the kitchen and end up with a whole mess. And then after dinner, I'd have to spend another hour cleaning up the kitchen. And fatigue is a big hallmark of MS. So that wasn't something I really wanted to do. And that's when I became an accidental inventor of glorious one pot meals. So I received a little cast iron Dutch oven, just like that little heart one. Mine wasn't a heart, it was also a little 2-quart like your heart. I love the heart. I have to go grab mine too. That's one of my favorite pots, but it's the same. It's also a 2-quart cast iron Dutch oven. And when we received it, we thought, oh, this is such a cute little pot, but what do you do with such a little pot? And we weren't really sure. But then one night we were watching late night TV and this infomercial came on and this man said, look, I can make your whole meal in this one countertop appliance. And he puts in dry rice and then a can of tomatoes. And then he puts a metal grate, like a barbecue grill type grate across it. And then he puts chicken breast and then another grate and then brownies on the top. Covers the whole thing with a dome and plugs it in and turns it on. Very kind of I dream of Genie. And I thought, well, that's really smart, but I don't have that countertop appliance. I don't have any of those barbecue grill type grates, and I don't really care about the brownies. So I took out my little cast iron Dutch oven and went over to my oven and thought, okay, well, his countertop appliance is probably pretty hot. So I put it at 450 degrees and threw in some things from my freezer. I had some frozen fish fillets and I had some fresh vegetables, threw them all in, and in about half an hour, it just started to smell like dinner. So that's really how I started cooking this way. And in fact, my cookbook, this is the second edition that was republished in 2009, is all about these recipes for cooking this way. I really look at this as like kind of a science project where you pick out the ingredients that you want and then you assemble them in the correct order. Actually, I have a patent on this method, but it's the order that's important. You assemble them into your pot in this correct order, throw it in the oven, and it works every time with any ingredients. Fresh, frozen, canned, it doesn't matter. So that's what we're gonna do today. And in fact, we're going to take inspiration from a recipe, from a couple of the recipes in my cookbook. One is chicken piccata, and that's on page 128. And then another one is the Bahama chicken, which is a huge Bahamian Bahamian chicken, which has proven to be a huge crowd pleaser and one of my reader favorites in the cookbook. And that's on page 118. So as we go through with what you have in your kitchen and your pantry and your freezer, that's exactly what we're going to make, a glorious one pot meal.
So how do I start? So I've got broccoli, I've got red onion and white onion, scallion, bell pepper, I got fresh ginger because I put it in some egg rolls I made. I have a can of chopped tomatoes. I have a jar of garlic. I've got pineapple that's crushed, and I can get whatever seasonings I need. We have different types of oil, and I've got 3 breasts of chicken. I believe I already said in my storage I got rice. So where do I start? I'm excited.
All right. So with any glorious one pot meal, the very first thing you're going to want to do is spray the inside of the pot and the inside of the lid with a little bit of oil. You want to make sure that you get a nice coating on there. There you go. Awesome. Oh, and before that, even, we should mention that you'll want to preheat your oven to 450 degrees.
Perfect. I will up it because I put it at 400. So it just needs a few minutes to catch up.
Awesome. Okay, so we have our spray. Then the first layer is always your aromatics. So today we're going to put in some slices of ginger and also some slices or chopped onion. And garlic we have too as well.
Okay. So if I have a chunk of garlic.
No, ginger.
Ginger, sorry. Yes, I meant garlic. Good to know my different. So how much ginger would you say I would want?
So I'd like to either grate my ginger with like a microplane or just chop it up nicely. Awesome. So I would just take the microplane and grate some right into the pot. I don't know. I'll tell you when. I mean, it's always, everything in Glorious One Pot Meals is by ear, except for the dry goods part, which we're going to get to with the rice here in a minute. But yeah, as much ginger as, are you a big ginger fan?
With my daughters, we add ginger. I probably don't add as much if they were not enjoying it. So I would say that was probably about 20 because it's as I'm grating it. So we'll leave it as such.
That looks great. So now you'll want to put in you have some garlic, right?
I do. I have some in a jar because they were totally out of fresh.
That totally works. So if you want to do, I would know, like a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic.
Okay.
Chopped garlic, I should say. And if you're a garlic lover, you can certainly do more. Or if you're not a garlic lover, you don't even have to put it in.
Spoon of a 1/4 teaspoon.
Awesome. Now you want to chop up one of your onions, whichever one you like, and you can even do both. Typically for a 2-quart Dutch oven, I would use a total of a 1/4 onion chopped.
A total of a 1/4. Okay, so question. Does it matter the size of the chop? Does it matter that it's, no, okay.
It doesn't necessarily at all. In fact, I love to mix things up and do different size chops of different ingredients that I'm putting into my Glorious One Pot Meal as I do it. And sometimes with onions, I just like to put them in, like cut the onion in half and then slice it and then separate and call it kind of crescents, which is a very easy thing to do, but it really doesn't matter. Other times I chop it up and dice the onion.
So for my kids, and I don't know if you're cooking for eaters that are particular, I tend to dice it because
dicing works great.
So it's not as much. So what you do is you just take slices down the onion and then you go the opposite direction and it turns it into little chunks.
Perfect.
So it's mainly, I think I'm just going to do all red onion.
That's going to be beautiful in this meal that we are assembling. And one of the really great things about Glorious One Pot Meals is you can really make it the way that your family likes it.
Right. Okay, so we've got 1/4 of an onion in there.
We've got all of our aromatics, right? So just a little quick review. We sprayed the interior with olive oil to put a layer of oil, and that can be any kind of oil, coconut oil, sesame oil, grapeseed oil, it doesn't matter, any kind of oil. And then we put in the aromatics, which we have 3 aromatics in this meal, which is quite a few, which is the garlic, the onions, and the ginger. It's gonna be so yummy. All right, so the next thing we wanna do is put in our dry goods. And so we're gonna use rice. We have a white rice, and it's 1 cup for a 2-quart pot. No, don't put it in yet, because first you want to put it in a strainer and rinse it.
Ah, okay.
We want to rinse the
This, but I'm gonna go over to the sink and go rinse it. And how many times? Does it matter?
until it's running more clear. In the beginning, it'll be really cloudy, and then you want to keep rinsing it with cold water until it runs more clear. With a 2-quart pot, which is going to feed 2 people or 2 people and a smaller third eater in your case, we're going to use 1 cup of dry goods or rice. We're going to use 1 cup of rice and 1 cup of water. Drop in the rice into your pot. Awesome. So now we're going to put in the liquid, and we're going to want to use 1 cup of liquid. So since we're using a can of diced tomatoes, let's use some of that liquid to make up that 1 cup. So go ahead and drain your pot into, your can into, there you go. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. You can go ahead now and add those tomatoes into the pot on top of the rice. The important thing we want to know is really how much liquid is in there, right? So that's why we put it into the measuring cup. So now you want to fill the measuring cup up until you have 1 cup of water.
Okay, so
of liquid.
What is that going to take into account our crushed pineapple, or is that separate?
That's a good point. Let's do that next, since that's going to have liquid in it too. We might as well use that liquid as part of our 1 cup. So if you want to grab your strainer again, I think we should use about half a cup of the pineapple. So if you want to just kind of eyeball that, there you go. That looks awesome.
Okay.
Drop that in. Okay, how's our liquid cup looking? Are we close to a cup?
We're about a half cup, so I'll add another half cup of water.
Okay.
Okay. And pour that.
Yep, go ahead and add that in. And now you're going to want to kind of take your pot and give it a nice little swirl so that everything kind of settles into flat layers. Yes. And you can use any utensil or your hand or whatever you want if you want to spread things out so that there's not just 1 chunk of pineapple there. Just kind of make it all evenly. I like to think of it kind of like a strata. So we want it to be really in layers.
I can already smell like the garlic.
And the ginger, I bet. All right. So next we're going to put in our chicken breasts. And in my memory, I think your chicken breasts are frozen. Is that correct?
They are.
Perfect. So we want to lay them out into the pot side by side, not lapping each other.
Okay. Let me see how skillful those single hands.
I'm impressed. So with Glorious One Pot Meals, you can take ingredients frozen directly from your freezer and put them right into your pot, and it won't change your cooking time.
I don't know where my tongs are, so I'm just going to move it with a spatula.
So we just side by side, flat,
yeah,
not overlapping as much as possible.
Yeah, I guess not all breasts are created equal.
That is true. And typically I only use 2 breasts in the 2-quart pot, so that's part of why you're so smushed there. So now you might want to do maybe a little salt and pepper, but I often don't want to do too much of that because that salt and pepper stuff you can put on at the end as you're eating, but be careful because it does intensify. I remember getting feedback from an early reader who said that he peppered the ingredients just as if he would have normally, and it was so peppery he couldn't eat it.
Well, good to know. I appreciate the heads up. And I'm going to hold off on the salt
So the next layer we want to do are your firmer vegetables. So for you, that's going to be your bell pepper.
Okay. And about how much? I've already rinsed it.
Excellent. So at least half. We might even want to do half of the bell pepper and see what it looks like. And you can cut it any way you'd like to cut it. Sometimes I cut mine in strips. Sometimes I dice it. Sometimes I cut it in kind of larger, more triangle shapes.
Yeah, I think for this one, I'm just going to cut it in strips.
Great. So let's fill up the rest of the pot with broccoli.
And does it matter that it is above the liquid line?
No, not at all. But you want to be sure that your lid is going to fit completely.
Okay.
It looks perfect to me, actually. Because it looks right up to the top, right up to the brim.
Oh, good.
I think we're good. All right, so you are good to go. And then you have some scallions. And what I would do is I would cut the scallions up and serve them fresh when you serve them. And so what did you feel? Did you feel like this was pretty easy?
Yeah, super easy. And it makes sense. I love how you integrated. It made a lot of sense, your layering effect. And I know that that's probably articulated in your book. So I highly recommend for all of our listeners that you go check that out. I mean, how easy would this be? So 450, it took maybe 15 minutes to do this. Granted, I figured out what we had, so that did take more time. And then how long will we cook?
A 2-quart pot. You want to make sure your oven is fully preheated to 450. And then you put the lid on it, and put it into the oven for 45 minutes. And you're going to know it's ready because about 3 minutes so about at 42 minutes, you're going to get the aroma of a fully cooked meal.
Tell our audience what this looks like when I'm all finished. I will make sure you get that, as well as a copy of the recipe of what we just did today. And I would love for you to reach out to Elizabeth Yarnell. How can they connect with you?
So first of all, I'd love to offer anybody who's watching today my ultimate checklist to stocking your freezer and pantry for healthy cooking. And you can get that for free at glorious1potmeals.com. And so that's glorious, GLORIOUS, 1ONE, potmeals.com with an S on the end. So go on over there, grab the free checklist. You can order the book from Amazon. There's all kinds of links and all ways to get there. And then if you want to reach out to me directly, I'm on Facebook as Elizabeth Yarnell. There's also a Glorious One Pot Meals Facebook group I'd love to have you come into. I am posting recipes, especially during this crazy quarantine period as well, and cooking tips and things like that. So jump on over there. But you can always reach me directly at elizabethyarnell.com.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Marilee with Making Matter, and offering you easy ways to make healthy meals quickly and connect not only in the kitchen, but with your family.